Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
885,000 laid-off Americans filed for unemployment benefits for the first time last week, beyond the expectations of economists. They anticipate a rough few months for the labor market since vaccines aren't expected to reach the broader population until the spring. Certain benefits provided to the unemployed will expire at the end of the year. There's still no agreement on a new coronavirus relief bill in Congress.
Nope, there's not. We're struggling. Is there any way this is going to get done? I was just talking to producer Anthony, and he's like, do you think it gets done? I said, it'll get done, but get done by when? Get done. Well, they don't want to, here, look, their recess. Once again, we'll go back to no grown adults should have a recess. But they don't want to miss going home for the holidays and taking some time off and then coming back, refreshed for their whatever it is that they do. So that being said, they'll get it done by Monday, maybe Tuesday. And by done, I mean, I don't care that they pass something. It isn't until both chambers have passed it and it's on its way. They've agreed on something and Trump signs it. Until then, none of it matters. Don't count your chickens until the eggs hatch, because there's always hiccup here and there. It isn't until Trump gets it signed that it becomes something. And the compromise, they're trying. But you've got this situation where they're, okay, I don't want it to get over $1 trillion. You're ever that person who goes, okay, I'm going to buy a car. All right. I want my payment to be under $300 or under $400, whatever it is. And they come back and they're like, we can get it for $5. Oh, that's too much, right? Well, are you sure? Yeah. And then can you do a little bit? Move that. They come back and it's $4. I can't do over 400. Well, we can get it to 479. Nah, I just can't do it. And then finally, we can get it to 410. You're like, okay, I can do that. It's kind of where we are. You don't want to get over $1 trillion, Mitch, but you're probably going to have to. You're not giving them $2 trillion, but you're going to get there over that $1 trillion. As frustrated as people in the Republican Party are getting with all of this, because they're hearing from the constituents, because they're over what's going on as well. They just want them to fish or cut bait, and I believe they're going to fish.
They are now hopeful that they can get this done in the coming days. And once President Trump signs off on this bill, it will likely take several more weeks for Americans to begin receiving those checks.
Checks. $1,200. Somebody, look, for somebody out there, remember, for all the people that are unemployed, we still have about 80% of America that's working in some capacity, and probably 70% that's still full-time employed. For those people, an extra $1,200 and it's $500 per kid or whatever, that's all right. For other people, though, that are so far behind the 8 ball, while it's a welcome momentary relief, as, like Anthony said, it's like throwing a pebble in the water for some people right now. Throwing a pebble in the water. The question is, when can we get back to where we need to get back to? How fast can we get there? Can we get there sooner rather than later? Because we need to get there. How do we do it? Well, the vaccines are a big thing. The vaccines are huge. Can we get the vaccines out? Yes. Can we get them out there in a certain amount of time that doesn't have this running into 2022 and beyond? That's a possibility, but there also may be a possibility that a good majority of people are going to wait a while, and some may never take this.
So there are really two levels. Ultimately, we immunize for herd immunity, and that will happen when 70 or 80% of the American people have immunity against COVID. That's when you really see the pandemic dissipate, and it will go away. We will end the pandemic. Right now, we're really immunizing for impact. And what I mean by that is, even though we're immunizing only a few million people to start, our most vulnerable. So if we could prevent COVID in nursing homes, we know we can lower the death rate dramatically, and we can also lower the hospitalization rate dramatically.
Yeah, that's, I understand that completely. I get that 110%. But the reality is, outside of that, because now what you have is what's what the government held off for a while, and what the third quarter masked for many people, which is the coming financial tsunami that is going to destroy so many people. So many people. Many of you listening may be in this boat. Many of you listening may have a small business or a medium-sized business that is facing absolute ruin and everything as well. And all that time and effort. And remember, you can go and you can try to get back that money. Many entrepreneurs will make and lose money across the board. It happens. That's part of being an entrepreneur and a risk taker. But what you can't get back is time. And that time's being lost, and time is of the essence.
And of course, it's vital to protect our healthcare workers because they're there for us. They're on the front line. So we're immunizing for impact now. We will start seeing that almost immediately. But herd immunity, when the pandemic really ends and goes away, that's not until the late spring, early summer.
Can that happen? Yeah, if people go out and get it. And that goes back to what we've talked about with this pandemic. Are you going to go out and get it? Some people, yes. Some people, no. Some people aren't going to get it for various reasons. You know, we've gone over them. It's just, plague enthusiasts who are anti-vaxxers, people who are vaccination hesitant is one of the words I think Alex Azar used yesterday, which is they're probably will, but they want to see it work first. And then there's going to be people that go out and get it. And then you'll get the people that are thinking that it's going to alter their DNA and all this stuff. But we need a certain amount of people to get us through this, to get vaccinated. I think what we need is a timeline. And I said this, and I'll continue to say this. I think Joe Biden, when he's the president-elect, you guys don't have to like him. That's just the reality of the world that we're living in now. I'm not going to BS you. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. If you hate that, oh, now you hate me because of that, that's fine. Whatever. You move on with your life. There's plenty of other shows out there that will give you everything you want in your alternate reality. But if I'm him, I put a timeline. When we have enough to vaccinate the entire country as we move along. And by that, I mean the average person, the elderly, the healthcare workers, everybody. Kids, I'm not worried about. Younger kids, this just doesn't affect. That when we have enough, which will probably be March, is when, if I'm president, I say we got 90 days. For everybody who didn't get vaccinated, you've got 90 days. For everybody who didn't get vaccinated, you have 90 days to get vaccinated. Outside of that, and you put a date on it. We were talking yesterday, July 4th. Life returns to normal. July 4th. Everything's open. People are back. We are living our lives. July 4th. You don't have to wear a mask anymore. You go out and you put a date on it. And if you don't want to get a shot and you don't want to get vaccinated and you don't want to wear a mask at that point, that is totally fine with me. If you happen to get sick, that's life. You take a risk. I got zero problems with it. The issue is we're going to see this across the board is states are going to be really wide open and other states are probably still going to be closed or teetering on closing. And one day an area will close down, and then the next day, another area will close down, and some area that you can't live your life that way. It's about calculated risk. But when you put people in a position where there's a timeline, it's not and everybody's like, oh, it's a mandatory thing. No, it's not. It's just a timeline. If you told me today and I was in school, hey, Chad, you have a book report due. When? I don't know. Whenever. Well, I'll get it done whenever. If you tell me I've got to have it done tomorrow, that's a different thing. You tell me I don't have to do it, but I'll suffer the consequences. And maybe some people do. I think that's the way we have to put it out there. It needs to be more black and white. It does. Because we need to move forward. We need to get past this. And by giving people a date, by saying, hey, look, we talk about light at the end of the tunnel. Well, some people ask, how long's the tunnel? The tunnel is this long, and then we're through the other side. That's what we need to do. Because if half of us get it, the vaccination, and some of us have had it and the antibodies we have and we're fine, but there's a group of people that don't get it and we can't reach that quote-unquote herd immunity, but at the same time, because of them, we have to stop down and we have to live like this continuously, that's not benefiting anybody. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. It's funny, Doug Ducey, governor yesterday of Arizona, said this.
Please get the vaccine when it's available to you.
And listening to some governors, I feel like they're got to beg because they know there's a lot of people out there that just aren't going to do it. And I don't care that you don't do it. I've never cared whether you get the vaccine or don't. I think we all just want to get back to our life. It's about getting back to our life in a responsible way. Get it or don't get it, that's a you thing. But for me, I want the governors and the president to come out and give us hey, this is when we go back to normal and we live our lives. And once you have all of those opportunities and you do not take them, for whatever reason, we can't be all things to everybody, especially if people don't want to take a vaccine, nor should we have to be forcing them to. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Legacy Box is amazing. It truly is incredible. You got those memories. And some of you guys are going to be around, whether it's Hanukkah or whether it's Christmas and you're hanging out with your family and you're going to be looking at some old photos and stuff, or, you'll be doing the Zoomy thing and this, that, and the other, and you'll be looking at old photos and stuff and you'll be like, oh man, I've got so much stuff that I just can't get to. Well, you can now with Legacy Box. Legacy Box digitizes all of your old media, your antiquated media, VHS, Beta, DAT. They got old film reels of grandma and grandpa. Nobody has a projector anymore. Guess what? You take those and you send them in. They send you a box. You send them all in. So your antiquated media goes to them. Then they start to digitize it, bring it to life, and then you get everything back and a new, easy-to-consume way of seeing everything. Your memories are back in a modern way, whether it's the cloud, a thumb drive, a DVD. You will absolutely love it. Get your Legacy Box. Watch the process the entire way because they tell you and give you updates of what's going on with your media and how it's progressing. Go to legacybox.com. All right, when you go there, and just check it out for yourself. And then when you're ready, you're like, yeah, I'm going to do this. You're going to love every second of it. Legacybox.com/Benson will get you 50% off. Legacybox.com/Benson. Legacybox.com/Benson. Limited time offer, 50% off. Chad Benson Show.
Set Chad straight. Text the show, 323-538-2423. That's 323-538-CHAD. Someone has to do it. Might as well be you. The Chad Benson Show.
The UK has administered more than 100,000 doses, only a couple. So people with severe allergic reactions, they should consult their doctor, but I think most people it's going to be fine.
Yeah. Yesterday, there was a woman in Alaska who got a shot. Immediately, she started feeling bad, and she went and had to be treated at I think she was a nurse, actually. So if you're going to get, if you're going to have issues, an allergic reaction, and they said at the beginning of this, remember is that people of severe allergies should probably not take this. So, look. Once again, what the sad thing is we expect perfection out of politicians, and there's no such thing as perfection. Nobody is going to deliver perfection. Nobody is. If this works right, people get it, and it's a big if. I think based on the information and data we've seen, it's going to work well. And but there are going to be some people that get sick. I tell you, there are people who are allergic to aspirin. There are people allergic to water, sunlight. But we do have to get on with our lives. I think we recognize that. She was fine, but yeah, it went and she got sick. Now the next one is going to be Moderna. They're hearing today. If all goes well, it'll be next week that they should start rolling out things, and then away we move. Away we go. And that'll be great. Doesn't mean you're going to get it. Shouldn't be forced to. Just throwing it out there. Snow rained down. So, Producer Phil, how much snow did you guys get yesterday?
In the area that I'm in, we didn't get a lot. We just got a dusting, and it's all gone right now. But it froze overnight, so the roads were a little icy this morning.
Ooh, icy. It was so sunny here yesterday. I just want to point that out. And I'm expecting at least 7 to 8 feet of sunshine. I'm wearing shorts and a T-shirt, and that's how I came into work today. I'm wearing shorts and a T-shirt. It's 3 in the morning, and it was chilly. I mean, we were like 35, but I've got shorts and a T-shirt on. By the time I go after the show to take a quick, I'm going to go work out. I'm just going to go to the park and play soccer for an hour and do my workout. It's going to be 60, 65 degrees. By the weekend, we're going to be back at 70. So, again, this is why people live here. Now, in the summer, people say, well, in the summer, it's really hot. Yeah, but where other people live, it's really hot, too, in the summer. And they got humidity, and we do not. Although this year was, not going to lie, there was we had like 100 days in a row where it was over 100. That was ugly. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Election fraud. Tom Cruise. People are now quitting. I'm going to ask 2 questions about what he did yesterday. Not the first time, by the way, that he has done this. Talk about that straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Celebs weighing in on Tom Cruise's alleged on-set COVID rant.
We are not shutting this movie down!
George Clooney telling Howard Stern he understands why Cruise was so angry, but it probably wouldn't have been how he handled it. Whoopi Goldberg defending Cruise on The View.
I get it. You know, that's his movie. And if he goes down with COVID, the movie's done.
But The View's Sarah Haynes echoed what many on social media are saying.
You should never speak to grown adults like the way he just did.
Cruise, a producer on Mission Impossible 7, was upset that a couple of crew members weren't social distancing.
6.5 feet apart is what they were. They'd had to shut down at once before. I guess, in Italy, several crew members tested positive for this. They shut it down. Then they got it up and running, and then eventually they had to come to the UK. From what everybody's saying is they were 6.5 feet apart. And he flipped. This was not the first time. 5 crew members have quit today. First things first. If you really want to get people's attention, what do? You thin the herd. You thin the herd. It's hard when there's union members. I get that. But you look around and say, all right, who can we get rid of? We'll pay them not to work. We'll thin the herd. We'll do something. The second thing, you think he was yelling at a woman? Probably not. Which leads me to this. At what point do you stop being Jack Reacher and Tom Cruise and you start to be, you're a dude yelling at me, and if we were on the regular streets, I'd drop you. Your career could be ruined. Probably. You don't yell at human beings like that. And I worked for a guy, by the way. I'll say it. I worked for a guy who's one of the most famous disc jockeys in the history of radio. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Guy who's got his name on the star on Hollywood Boulevard Walk of Fame. Who was awful. Who spoke to people like that all day. He taught me a lot. But he was awful. Like that every day. Sometimes worse. You don't speak to other people like that. My question is, well, I mean, somebody was smart enough to go, I'm going to record this and we'll just embarrass him. But the second thing is I would have just said, no. Sorry, dude, you get in my face, I'll get in your face. I don't care if you fire me. I do not care if you fire me. I don't give a blank about that. At this point in time, you have gone off the deep end. The unions have come out and said, hey, check this out. You're getting paid. Let's just say the last one of these he did, he made $82+ million, not counting the back end. The gross. Probably make $100 million off this one. You're telling somebody here who you've employed that if you're on the street and somebody started yelling at you like this, we've lost the plot. You could be pissed. You could be I get it. But there's ways of going about doing it that will catch more people's attention than screaming and yelling. I just wondered, why did nobody step? Right. Why? Well, he's Tom Cruise. He could ruin your career. He could, but here's the thing. I'm in a union, bro. I'm in a powerful union. And I'm not just talking to, let me tell you about the unions in Hollywood. Why they shoot stuff in other places, like Vancouver and in several other places, Georgia being one of them, is they can avoid a lot of the union craziness. These are all union people. That union protects them big time. You don't work for Tom Cruise. You essentially are working with the union. And they will. And they've already come out. I just wondered why nobody said, all right, we've had enough. You've gone too far. You've had enough. He said, not going to apologize at all.
No apologies.
Right? No apologies wanted. He's not apologizing. No apologies will be accepted anymore.
So I'm sorry, I'm beyond your apologies. I have told you, and now I want it. And if you don't do it, you're out.
I say everybody gets one. Somebody asked me the other day because they heard I work with Robert, and they're like, somebody who was familiar with him, he was horrific. He had a horrific temper. He would say things that were awful. He was just an awful person. I learned a ton because of who he was, and this is back in the day when you got away with a lot of stuff that you could never get away with today. Just today, he'd be fired in 2 minutes. But I always took everything with a grain of salt. And this is when I was really, not say first in radio, but early in my days. And, I had just finished playing soccer. It was built like a house. And one day he was mad. And I was walking in the studio. So I'd be in the office, come back in the studio, we're running it because we're doing a lot of different things. And this is back when technology wasn't anywhere near what it is today. So there wasn't just a singular computer. There was a computer. It was dial-up kind of stuff. I mean, it was crazy. I came in and he threw what is a cart, but it's like an 8-track tape at the door. He didn't know I was coming in. It hit next to me. It exploded and then cut me. And he tells this guy, Mitch, better go see if Chad's okay. So we're sitting in the office and everybody leaves the office. And I looked at him and I said, dude, if you ever do that to me or anybody else again, where you throw something and hit somebody, I will snatch the life out of you. And he kind of looked at me And he knew he couldn't do anything because I had a big cut. They were trying to make sure I wasn't going to sue. It was hilarious. Every once in a while, though, I think, you know what? You got to put people in their place. And I thought that was ridiculous. If you want to do something, you let somebody go, you thin the herd, you have people show up the next day and say, you're not needed here. That wakes people up. This just pisses people off. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. Speaking of people being pissed off, Bernie.
You know, the progressive movement in this country. Remember, I was the runner-up to Biden, and we got a few votes. Elizabeth Warren got a few votes. Number of progressives won seats to Congress. And those voices of millions and millions of people deserve representation in the Biden cabinet. And if you're asking me, have I seen that at this point? I haven't. I've seen some really good, very bright, very competent people, and I know many of them. They're good people. But if you're asking me, have we seen the kind of progressive nominations that I would like to see, the answer is not yet.
No. And you're probably not, because Joe Biden is as establishment as it gets. He is comfort food for the Democratic Party. He's not going to rock the boat. He's going to please big business with some of the stuff he wants to do. He'll be more woke and good in front of the camera, but behind the scenes, he is going to be as business as anybody else in the Democratic Party. He'll feel just as comfortable as Trump is sitting down with people from Goldman Sachs and having dinner as anybody else. It's the reality of what Joe is. You know, you go look at President Obama, former President Obama. You go look at his, what he did. The reality is he was as cozy with big business as anybody. They want a diverse cabinet. They're going to get diverse cabinet, but you're going to get diverse cabinet. I was like, there's a bunch of ladies, people of color, Pete Buttigieg and all. You'll get that. What you want is the woke diverse, but you're not going to get that progressive. Let's tax everybody to 90% and give, you're just not going to get that with Joe. That's why when I said the other day, when people are freaking out, we're going to become Venezuela. First of all, we're never going to become Venezuela. It's just never going to happen. You need to slow your roll. Yes, we are. No, we're not. We're not going to become Venezuela. It's not going to happen. Capitalism is too strong here. We have states' right. Just everybody needs to settle down. And secondly, for most people, pretty decent run with Obama as far as the economic side of things. You can't complain. And for several years, we had this sweet spot when you go and look at history and data of a Democratic president, but both houses controlled by the Republicans. Works okay. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet, text, love hearing from every single one of you. I do. Remember, please get the vaccine.
Please get the vaccine when it's available to you.
Producer Phil, will you go out immediately and get it when it's available?
I might wait a little bit.
Yeah. I said I'd take it today, or, I'd be fine with taking it way down the line, but I just, I'm not afraid to take it. If they came in here today and said, Chad, will you take it? I'll say, yeah, go for it. But if it takes me a few months and as long as, the healthcare workers and everybody else gets it, go for it. And I will never, people are texting me, Chad, are you telling people that they should go get the vaccine? And if you want to, do your research. But make it based in real facts and data. Not like, well, I saw some on the internet and it says that you're going to grow a third eye and then it's going to alter your DNA and you're going to forget God. Get real facts and data, please. It's all I ask. If after you've looked at it and said, it's not for me, I'd rather build up my immunity just the regular old-fashioned way, I have zero problems with that either. But at this point, to me, it's more about expedience. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet, text, AMAC Association Mature American Citizens, fastest growing, over 50 organization in the country. What's it do? Well, it gives you all the things that you can dream of in joining an organization like this. You get discounts across the board, from retail, restaurant, hotel discounts, you name it, amusement parks, everywhere. So help with insurance and all kinds of things. On top of that, they're also advocating for you for things like Social Security and Medicare, making sure it's solvent, common sense immigration forms, and protecting our, what it is to be an American, our Second Amendment right, our First Amendment right. It's awesome what they do, and they're working hard for you. Plus, some of the other things they do. So many people have told me, hey, Chad, you said that, you can get this for your mother and father, and they'll help them with things like Social Security and navigating through Medicare and stuff. And people love the fact that you call them up and they'll walk you through those steps and help you and answer questions to do what they can for you. Try it. It's pennies a day. amac.us/Chad. 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 Chad Benson Show.
If you like talk radio like Chad Benson likes his meals, you've come to the perfect place for takeout.
Just in time for Wonder Woman 1984 to drop.
Think about finally having everything you always wanted.
HBO Max just struck a deal to stream on Roku devices. Roku device is the most popular streaming platform in the U.S. with access to over 100 million users. And until now, HBO Max and Roku couldn't agree on terms. That meant since its launch in May, HBO Max subscribers tied into the Roku ecosystem had to figure out a workaround to stream, something that would hurt HBO Max as it plans to debut all Warner Brothers movies next year. HBO Max is available on Roku Thursday.
Yeah. It's neat. My smart TV, and we have Roku, but the smart TV you were able to download separate apps for everything. But good deal, smart deal. You know what the most important thing though is? YouTube. Hollywood shouldn't worry about Netflix. Netflix shouldn't worry about Hollywood. They should all worry about YouTube. YouTube's one. I have Netflix, Hulu, and all those other things, and Dish. I watch more YouTube than I watch all of those combined. You know what it costs YouTube to make those things? Nothing. Zero. Nothing. Doesn't cost them a penny. Netflix is paying people hundreds of millions of dollars as showrunners to develop programs, and they go and they do that. And you watch it. It costs them nothing on YouTube to do any of that. It doesn't cost them a penny. It's free. It is. That's the thing that I think people miss in the battle of the entertainment world. And you can get most things on YouTube. I was listening the other day, one of the guys with Joe Rogan, I think he's from the And One podcast, or one of those things, and he said, look, he goes, Joe, think about how much money they pay, Sorkin to develop something for a 2-hour thing they watch once. He goes, you give YouTube and everybody else, they give them 2, 3, 4 hours of stuff a day. You're like, oh, yeah. Yeah. Doesn't mean I don't watch any of the other things. I absolutely do. I love my Dish because I have my NFL package. I love watching my old Westerns. But I will watch more YouTube, and when I walk through the studios here and stuff, almost everybody has at least one of their, things pulled up on the internet that's YouTube because they'll watch something. Do you see this? You see that? That's where everybody heads. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from all of you. This was interesting. This is Dominique Foxworth. He is an ESPN guy talking about Josh Allen, the quarterback of the Buffalo Bills. Now, he was on a podcast talking about why he doesn't like Josh Allen. And you're thinking to yourself, if you said this about a woman, if you said this about a black quarterback, if you said, you would be done.
Are not based on Josh Allen. It's based on the people that are defending Josh Allen. I would be 100% lying if I said that when Josh does something dumb, a little part of me doesn't get happy. It is not because I want Josh to succeed. It's because the people who are telling me that Josh is the second coming and Josh is better than everybody are people with American flags and dogs and skull and crossbones and the Abbeys. And then if you go just take a dip into their tweet history, it's some really concerning retweets and likes.
So you want Josh Allen to fail because people who have the American flag up and like dogs and crossbones, because of that is why you enjoy that he fails? ESPN, this is why you struggle and people are over you. I don't care that you dislike Josh Allen. I don't care if you hate him because he's white. But if you wonder why people are like, I don't want to watch this anymore, I'm over it. It used to be like, wow, look at him. And one of the other things they talked about in this is, that the Bills are one of the most Republicans supported teams, meaning more Republicans. I think it's only 2 or 3 other teams that have more Republican supporters than the Bills. Like that. First of all, who cares? Why should we care? Because this is what it's about. I don't like him because he's got people who have dogs in their pictures who like him. Okay. Wow. Anybody else have an issue in the NFL one time with dogs? Anybody? Oh, yeah, that guy. You know what I'm talking about. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
So there are really 2 levels. Ultimately, we immunize for herd immunity, and that will happen when 70 or 80% of the American people have immunity against COVID. That's when you really see the pandemic dissipate, and it will go away. We will end the pandemic. Right now, we're really immunizing for impact. And what I mean by that is even though we're immunizing only a few million people to start, our most vulnerable. So if we could prevent COVID in nursing homes, we know we can lower the death rate dramatically, and we can also lower the hospitalization rate dramatically.
Yeah. Which is great. But when are we getting back to normal, right? When are we getting back to normal? When is normal coming? Interesting study that Ford does about life.
It's the 9th year that Ford has run the survey, almost none of it related to cars. Instead, says the company's futurist, Cheryl Connolly, it's more about coping with conditions.
69% told us that they were overwhelmed by changes taking place in the world.
But despite 2020's turmoil,
we asked that exact same question 3 years ago, and the number only increased 2 percentage points.
An indication of resilience and optimism that 2021 will be better.
Oh, okay. That's good. Except for when you dig deeper into it, almost 10% say life will never be back to normal. 44% say it's going to be at least a year or 2. You're like, oh, my God. And a good majority of people think it's going to be 2 years plus. For me, it depends on how it's handled. How is it handled? As far as the rollout, but also what do the governors, as well as the soon-to-be President-elect Biden do? Not just the rollout. Now, we're going to have issues with the rollout. There will be, because we have human beings involved. Then we have a lot of agencies involved. So you got the federal agencies getting it out to the states. Then those agencies will take over. And they'll pass it off to other agencies in different counties and municipalities before it gets. So there's going to be some issues that it's the telephone game. Stuff's going to happen, right? But you heard Dr. Giroux there. 70 to 80%. What if we don't get 70 to 80%? He's very optimistic about getting back to essentially non-pandemic stage.
And of course, it's vital to protect our healthcare workers because they're there for us. They're on the front line. So we're immunizing for impact now. We will start seeing that almost immediately. But herd immunity, when the pandemic really ends and goes away, that's not until the late spring, early summer.
Okay, that sounds great. I think we're fine with that. If enough people, 70 to 80% get the vaccine, what if 70, 80% don't get the vaccine? What if it's only 50% that get the vaccine? Then you got another 10 to 20%, maybe probably about 10% that has antibodies and have already had it. But there's still a good portion of Americans that are going to be interacting who won't get the vaccine for whatever reason. Plague enthusiasts, they don't, whatever reason. They think that your DNA is going to be altered and, you're going to get, with autism? It's not what it is, Chad. But what about that? How do we deal with it? Should we put a timeline on, hey, you don't have to get it. We're not going to force you to get it. Because if I'm Biden, I say March 1st, we're putting a timeline on this thing. It's 90 days, right? So you've got March, April, May. Maybe you do it April 1st to July 4th. July 4th, we open everything up. If you didn't get the vaccine and you were capable of it, but you chose not to for whatever reason, that's a you thing, but life goes back to normal. We don't want you to get sick. You may not get sick. Remember, for all the stuff we're talking about here, we have 330 million people, allegedly, in this country. That's 17 million test positive. So it's not like we've had 300 of the 328 million. But if you choose not to get it, we're going on with our lives and we're turning back to normal. We're going to learn to live with this thing, through this thing, and around this thing, because it is going to be more endemic than pandemic probably. So that means it will be here probably contiguously forever, potentially. Oh my God. For the next umpteen, or it could disappear, but it's probably going to be with us. So all that being said, if we just say, here's the end date of how we're living now. Outside of that, everything else is back to normal. You want to go see a movie without a mask, you go see a movie. You want to fly somewhere without a mask, you go see it. Now, other countries may have different rules, but, if you want to go to, and let the states handle some of those as well. But as far as when you say this is, when we're done and we're moving on, I think it's a good thing. Because if you tell people, you do whatever you want, they'll do it whenever they want or not at all. Because that's kind of what we do. I always use this example. If you tell me, Chad, you've got a book report due. Whenever. When do you think I'm going to get it done? Whenever. You tell me I got a book report due tomorrow by noon? Okay. It's a finite amount of time. So I will do what I have to do if I want to. Maybe I don't have to. And that'll affect my grade potentially. Maybe my grades are really good and it really is not going to hold any weight, so it's no big deal. That's fine. Maybe this is vitally important. Either way, though, I know when I need to get it done. And I know what the repercussions are if I don't get it done potentially. That way everybody knows what's going on. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from you because people are frustrated. Take the case of this youngster. Very upset. No, it's not Tom Cruise.
Next weekend, it's going to be so nice, like 60, 65, like that. We could sit outside on the porch.
No, the lockdown. A lockdown is when you say the inside, not the outside.
We could sit outside on the porch. So you plan on staying in the house till, like, June?
Yeah, to stay the inside. What the Do you hear the news? A lockdown. Not the going out to parties in the casino.
Whoa. I love how he's got a little accent, too. Are you blanking kidding me? Are you sure? That kid took my big wheel? We're going to have to do something about this. Oh, man, forget about it. Welcome to the world now. These kids are pissed. They're angry. They're dropping F-bombs. You got Tom Cruise dropping F-bombs because of this. And then the rest of us, well, trying to survive.
885,000 laid-off Americans filed for unemployment benefits for the first time last week, beyond the expectations of economists. They anticipate a rough few months for the labor market since vaccines aren't expected to reach the broader population until the spring. Certain benefits provided to the unemployed will expire at the end of the year. There's still no agreement on a new coronavirus relief bill in Congress.
Yeah, they say they'll get it done. The big sticking point is the dollar bills. How much dollars? Everybody wants dollars. It's never enough or it's too much.
Is the $900 billion with some form of direct checks, is that a good enough deal for you?
It's really quite shameful that we find ourselves negotiating a deal with such a small amount of money when we know just how devastated the American people are across our country. Think about it. In March, we were able to send $1,200 checks to people and give them $600 in unemployment insurance benefits.
Okay, Ilhan, we were able to do that. She acts like we were. Everybody, we were able to help everybody through a tough time. You and I, everybody pays taxes and contributes to the economy, things like that. We were able to do those things.
And now we're talking about possibly sending a one-time check 8 months later of $600 and reducing that unemployment benefit to $300. After 8 months of complete devastation, can't even begin to tell you just how embarrassing, shameful. This is one of the wealthiest nations in the world, and we are not embarrassed enough as leaders in our country to see so many people line up to act urgently and accordingly.
No, Ilhan, here's the thing. We need to be working and busting our butts, getting back out there, learning how to live with this thing, through this thing, and around this thing. Getting people paid should be what government does. It's doing something out of the ordinary, which some people would like it to be very ordinary, just like all the time, to try to stem the gap. Yesterday, Doug Ducey held a press conference here. And, he said, the first question I always get from you media types is, what are you going to close next? He goes like, what industry do you want me to close? Why aren't you closing these industries? And then it goes, the second question is, how are we going to take care of them? And I thought his answer was great. He said, we're going to get them to work. It's the best way to take care of them. For them not to lose their homes, for them not to be evicted, lose their cars, is to get them to work. We have to figure out how we're going to do that. Oh, yeah, working's good. Yes, it is. Absolutely. The vaccine here, we've heard over and over again. Could be the summer, could be the spring, most likely the fall and winter of next year is when we could see things back to some some normalish way of life. But we need to get people out there, and shutting down industries and then hoping the government bails you out. And in some cases, kind of bails some people out. Other people don't get bailed out. It's nuts. People want to work. That's what they're looking for. It's been a long time coming because I think a lot of people thought in government that maybe we'd be through this. We're not. Things are getting shut down left, right, and center. The spread is still going on. People need to work. Almost 1 million people filed for unemployment. This is the time of the year when people usually make hay, especially small and medium-sized businesses. And that sets up their 2021. For a lot of them, there will be no 2021. We need to get people back to work. We can do it responsibly, absolutely. But if you want perfection and no issues, again, eliminate human beings. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson shows your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from all of you. Raycon, best earbuds around. Ray J puts these things together and they're on fire. Love my Raycons. Going to go out and run around, play soccer today. What will I have on? My Raycons. Run around, juggle, shoot, do all of those things and never worry about them falling out. My bass in this thing is amazing. The fit is incredible. No wires, no stems, and a price point that's amazing. Well under $100. Well under $100 for the best earbuds around. And it's that fit. If you're looking for something that is awesome with a fit that's right at a price that's even better, it's Raycons and the E25. Check them out for yourself. BuyRaycon.com/Chad saves you an extra 15%. BuyRaycon.com/Chad. BuyRaycon.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Check out our Chad Benson Show Facebook page where you can hang out or hang your grievances out to dry. This is Chad Benson.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? There are a lot of things trending, people. Let's take a look. Some of them will make you laugh. Let's head on over to Google. Coinbase. Apparently they're the newcomers of the cryptocurrency. Bitcoin just crushing records. I think it's over 20 grand, dude. Is that insane? What are we looking at here for Bitcoin? Oh, my Lord. Just nuts. We'll get you some Bitcoin. Little bit late for that. Stimulus check. People are wondering when and where they're going to get that. They're searching that on the Google. Head over to Twitter, where everybody what? Hates themselves and everybody else. Let's start there. The giant storm hits the Northeast. Heavy snowfall. Over 40 inches in some places. We're expecting beautiful sunshine. Few white puffy clouds. No chance of rain here in Arizona today. High about 60 per. Oh, no. Yes. Yes. Top of that, you've got Elon Musk, who is who's trending because, first of all, how do you even say his kid's name, right? Like, and I agree with Elon and what he said and what he tweeted. It's XAEA, I don't know, XII. Gender neutral, because, you know, his partner wants them to raise the child gender neutral. I think he plays along with some of this stuff. I think he's over it. And he said the pronoun stuff is completely stupid. So people are mad at him. Because that's what you do, right? Like, you get mad at somebody because I think the gender pronoun thing is dumb, too. Because you have a name. What's your name? What's your name? My name's Steve. All right, we're going to call you Steve. What's your name? My name's Sarah. Oh, I'm going to call you Sarah. It's nuts. I mean, we've gotten to the point now with pronouns that we're changing, like this guy tweets out. I want new pronouns. My English PhD brain screams every time I see they, them for a single person. That, in caps, is incorrect grammar in caps, caps, caps. He goes, feels good to scream that. And he's probably getting just crushed for it. You are not a they. You're a person. It's so ridiculous. You can't. I talk about it. I don't really care. The other day, I dead named Bruce Jenner. See, I did it again. But we were talking about the Olympics and the great stars of the Olympics and how big people are in certain situations. And they're big for that moment, but then they fade away. Like Mike Eruzione will always be known as the captain of the hockey team, right? Dan Jansen. But it's not like but Bruce had that enduring thing, but you're like, can I call it? Is because that, so stupid. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
On one hand, very easy to say that Mitch McConnell and the Republican Party is extraordinarily barbaric, which is true. But at the same time, there is still something to be said for the fact that President Trump did want stimulus checks out, and we still even haven't been able to get those. And even in this package that's currently being negotiated, the Democratic Party gave up a lot of leverage.
Barbaric. Was it Senator Byrd? Remember that? When he was all barbaric? Barbaric! Remember that on the floor? Talking about the dog fighting, I think it was. Oh, barbaric! I don't know if the Democrats are barbaric. I think that's a little much. But they're a bit old school, and their politics. This is, like with the news media, as I try to explain to people out there, I have tons of friends in the news media. It's a business, man. It's a business. You're serving customers. You go to a Waffle House, you want waffles. This is my customers. They may serve a few other things, but the reality is you come there because it's waffles. International House of Pancakes. Dad, I like the burger, but I like pancakes. Well, I'm going to the pancake place. It's a business. I think what the younger people in Congress don't quite get is that it's a business. That's why everybody's pissed off at Biden, because he's not putting in, socialist and Marxist, because it's a business, baby. I'm going to hang out with the Goldman Sachs people. You hate them, but you want their money. So we're going to hang out. They realize there's a little bit of money they're going to have to peel off the top, a little lean-in money, look for some protection, some of the action. That's what taxes is. Some of these big corporations, I got to give a little bit, lean into it. It's a business. They want new leadership, and I think everybody could agree. Both sides need new leadership. AOC's been pretty vocal about it. She was on a podcast talking about it.
If your main mode of leadership and the main way that the Democratic Party chooses its leadership is A, who's been around the longest, and B, who's able to fundraise the most from corporate interests. Yeah, I think we need new leadership.
Because that's what it's all about. It's about money. It's about bringing in dollars. It's for the thought process of Bernie raising, I've got, $425 million, a nickel at a time, and it's great. Everybody's wide-eyed, and I'm not taking money from any of the big interests. That's fine, Bernie, but the reality is everybody else is. And like it or not, like everything, it's a little yin and the yang. You need that. You need that. You can have a fine balance. It's never going to be perfect. People are always going to lean a little bit one way or a little bit the other. Never going to be perfect. But this is a business, and yeah, it's about raising money. It's always about raising money. Always. Because money is important in politics, especially.
The way the Democratic Party determines chairmanship and leadership of committees it's a scandal unto itself. Even Republicans don't have the seniority chair rules that the Democratic Party has. And again, this is one of the reasons why actual talented leadership so frequently leaves the House, because committee leadership has largely been determined by two things. One, how long you've been around, and two, how much money you've fundraised.
Yes. How much? How much? Listen to that. How much? That's how it's done. Even the Republicans don't do it that way. But it is important. Money is important. We should take money out of politics. We should. Never going to do it, though. You're never going to do it. You're never going to do it. Because both sides enjoy feeding at the trough. Both sides do. One side's way better at making everybody feel like, oh, we are like big business. And then 3 days later, hey, didn't you give a speech for $300,000 over here? And they threw you a big party for $1,000 a plate to come hang out and get a photo. Oh, goodness me, I don't know about that. The question is what do you do? How do you bring leadership in to both sides that are going to be, well, younger, maybe a little bit more idealistic? You're just not, because money will always win out.
The Biden administration is bringing back a lot of Obama appointees. I think what a lot of people fail to remember is that we now have a Biden administration that's bringing back a lot of Obama appointees. But when Obama was making appointments, he was bringing back a lot of Clinton appointees. And so this is not just a revolving door of private industry, but it's a revolving door of these same people for the last 10, 20, 30 years. Yeah, I think we need new leadership.
We'll see. And I think the Republicans, they're looking around. Where's their new leadership? They've got some. The one thing about the Republicans, and she was right, AOC, about this, is the younger ones will come in and they'll get to be able to move up into very important positions along the way. And you've got some of that. You do. But you still have the Mitch McConnells of the world. You still have them. But you do have, you got the, like on the Republican side, Kevin McCarthy's a young dude. Right? In the House, leading everybody. He's a young guy. You've got the young guns. I mean, you got Steny Hoyer and Dianne Feinstein and Chuck Schumer. I mean, Mitch McConnell's old, but outside of Mitch, it's a much younger generation of Republicans over there, but it's still about the money because it's about the cash. You raise cash, you win. It's a business. Politics is used to raise money now. That's what it is. It's a fundraising thing. I'm surprised they don't get like a commission. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. And I'm going to give a hard pass on this.
The world is slowly but surely moving away from traditional meat like beef and chicken with meat alternatives. But while some companies like Impossible Foods are making animal-free substitutes like the Impossible Burger, others like Sorowat Kitty Bunthorne, a 30-year-old student based in London, are looking to use animal byproducts instead. Specifically in this case, he's using chicken feathers. According to Reuters, millions of tons of chicken feathers are plucked and discarded every year. But the Masters of Materials Futures student says we shouldn't be wasting that resource, explaining chicken feathers contain protein.
First of all, I'm not moving away from food like that. I don't think it makes it. See, we all want to do better things for the environment. We don't want to know where our meat comes from. We don't know how it got there, those kind of things. But the thought process of moving away from it just isn't going to happen. It isn't, not the way you think. And so many of these things, to get that taste that you want, is often worse than the actual meat itself. But now we're going to do chicken feathers.
And if we are able to serve this protein to others in the world, the demand from everyone will help reduce waste. He's already developed both a chicken nugget and a steak substitute made from the feathers, which have generally received favorable reviews. And while it's not vegan or even vegetarian, he says it could still be considered ethical dining, saying he's looking to approach zero-waste restaurants first, as they could be the most likely to adopt this novel ingredient.
And that's what it's all about. I'm going to give a hard pass on that, but I appreciate the effort. But we've already plucked the chicken. That's the thing. I get what you're saying, but we've already plucked the chicken. So if we've plucked the chicken, let's just eat the chicken, because I don't want the chicken to go to waste. Now, if you over there would like to enjoy eating chicken nugget made by feathers, knock yourself out. Me, I'm going to stick with a regular old chicken. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. I love hearing from every single one of you, the good and the bad, and I'm totally fine with both. Let everybody know that. I'm fine with both. Let's just, if we're going to have a conversation, yelling, screaming, and cussing and telling somebody to blank off and die is not the way that you start a conversation. That's all I'm saying. Start a conversation by saying, hey, Chad, I don't agree with you here. Let me tell you why. Hey, Chad, maybe have you thought about this? Telling me to die or something like that. That doesn't work well. I think most conversations, I watched, YouTube. I was talking about that earlier. Watching a big YouTuber that I watch. He's a big reptile guy. And he was saying, he was giving his feedback about, hey, guys, I listen to a lot of what you guys have to say. And I try to interact with everybody. And it's something we've been saying here. If criticism, I expect that in this business. So I don't really, I take it with a grain of salt, especially like the election stuff. Some people are so emotional and so many of them are just out there on both sides. It's hard to have a conversation, but the vitriol, when you start you wouldn't start any conversation that way with somebody you've never met and expect to, I don't know what you're expecting when you tell somebody to F off and die. Somebody wrote the other day on my Facebook about, I'd pictured my grandfather up who had passed away. Obviously the guy didn't understand that he had passed away because it wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed. But, talking about, if you're not dead, I hope you are dead because your grandson is a waste. And I hope that his my little brother's in a wheelchair, can suffer the same fate. And so, and I mean, what's the thought process of that? Are you trying to generally start a conversation because I believe that people that are going to contribute to society immediately should be first in line in the vaccine outside of the, first responders and everything, like teachers and stuff like that? And he's like, oh, you hate old people, so blank you and die. You don't start a conversation like that and expect it to be a real conversation. You're just interested in being a Richard. And I've never understood people that take the time to be that insulting because it doesn't do anything. And it was interesting to see how many people replied to what he said in equally damning ways towards him. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. Car Shield, 24/7 radio, 24/7 roadside assistance, which I love. So you got Car Shield, your check engine light comes on. You could live in Seattle and be in San Diego, and the light goes bing, and you're like, oh God, Car Shield's there, help you out, 24/7 roadside assistance. Then you take it to a shop. You take it to a shop right there and say, my car's not working. And they'll say, oh, you got Car Shield. Let us call them. They get them paid directly. You pay a small deductible to fix the car. And, hey, you're going to be in town for the next few days. They're going to get you a rental car. That's what Car Shield can do for you. Whether your car's got 5,000 or 150,000 miles on it, you're more worried about the electronics or the engine. They've got a plan that's right for you that starts as low as $99 a month. Over 1 million drivers have been protected with Car Shield. It's about that cover repair. So cover your butt, cover your car, cover your bank account with Car Shield. Call 800-665-2157. Use code Benson to save yourself 10%. Or go to carshield.com, carshield.com. Use that code Benson, save 10%. A deductible may apply. Chad Benson Show.
Being antisocial sucks. Hang with Chad's friends on Facebook, The Chad Benson Show. And if you just need some alone time, head on over to Twitter at Chad Benson Show. Either way, we can't wait to meet the real you.
Biden and his team are really urging people to just stay home. This is something that you should watch. They're going to work to make sure that this is something that is interactive and reaches across the country and involves people, but involves them from their couch. They don't want people traveling. They want to have everybody stay safe and feel involved in the historic moment, but do so safely.
That right there, Molly Nagel talking about the president inauguration day, January 20th. That'll be a month from Sunday. God, it'll be 50 on Sunday. It's going to be different this year. That's what we're talking about. Different. Totally different. The way it's going to be done. Absolutely. Still no idea if Trump is going to show up or not. I think it would be a mistake for him not to show up. I think it shows pettiness. You can believe what you believe at this point in time. If, you show up. You do. You show up. Show up. You shake his hand. You leave. And you come back in 4 years if you want to. And people keep asking me, do you think he's going to come back? I'm like, I don't know. 4 years is a long time in politics. I think there's a lot that he's going to sit down and try to figure out. I think, he's got two ways to go here. One of these ways is he could be somebody who sticks around and is the kingmaker they talk about. The other one is he just decides, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to hit golf balls. And I think a lot of it's going to have to do with Melania. And does she want to go through a lot of that? I don't know. It's hard to say. But, this is going to be a different kind of situation here when you look at what's going on with the inauguration. And we don't have to have what was the first controversy of the Trump presidency? How big was the crowd? That's the biggest crowd in the history of crowds. Yeah, I don't know. It really wasn't. We're moving on. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Moderna will have their day today. This will potentially be much like last week was with the FDA and Pfizer and get this thing through and rocking and rolling.
Moderna's vaccine requires 2 doses, 4 weeks apart.
To be on the edge of potential emergency use authorization and knowing that those doses very soon are going to get into people's arms is just incredible.
Moderna's Hamilton Bennett led the team that developed the vaccine. The independent review follows the country's deadliest day of the pandemic. More than 3,600 Americans died of coronavirus on Wednesday, the first time the U.S. reported more than 3,000 deaths on successive days.
So they'll have their day. And so the way that Pfizer and all that all of these are going is they're presenting the CDC and the powers that be with all of the data. Rather than them being the only one, they've brought in a third independent group that goes over the stuff to check it. And then they go today in front of the FDA, and the FDA will give it a thumbs up, thumbs down. They're going to give it a thumbs up. I think we already know that. And then much like what took place with Pfizer, I'm assuming Sunday, Monday, they'll start shipping them out. And by this time next week, we'll have both Pfizer and Moderna getting into people's arms and cities and communities, followed up early next year by Johnson & Johnson and AstraZeneca. And then it's just the race to see what's going to take place. How many people want it? How many people are going to shun it for a while? How many people are never going to take it? So it'll be interesting to see. But we're going to have 2, and maybe a month from now, we'll have 4 different vaccines available to us. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Check out Chad Benson Show TV, Facebook as well. It's Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The question now becomes,
when do you think life will return to normal?
Cheryl Connolly is with Ford Motor Company, which put that question to 13,000 people in 14 countries.
And globally, 44% of respondents said it'll be 1 to 2 years.
While 48% believe it'll be longer. And then
there was about 8% that said never.
Ford runs the annual survey to gauge shifting consumer attitudes and behaviors.
Never? How can you say never? Of course life will be back to normal. Will it be back to normal next week? No. Will it be back to normal next month? No. Will we be back to normal, though, probably within a year? I'd say yeah. I would absolutely say yeah. I don't see a reason why we shouldn't be. Got to do a few more things. There is light at the end of the tunnel. I think we need to put a timetable to get through the tunnel to the light. and don't allow this thing to drag on indefinitely as government and people allow things to do. But we will get there. Absolutely. But I understand why people feel that. A lot of that has to do also is how fast can we get this out there and how many people are going to take this to get to that 70, 80% of herd immunity. Well, that I don't know. But we will get there. And that's why I say when you put a time frame on something, give it a drop dead date, close of business tomorrow means close of business tomorrow. So if you say, look, we're going to return to life as normal, July 4th, 2021, we will resume all things that we did pre-coronavirus pandemic, shut things down, living your life as normal, regardless of whether or not you got the shot or not, because you chose not to, and everybody else that has done, we're going to get out there and live our life. That, do it. If I'm Biden and them, I do it. It's part of the thing about getting people to do some things. There's got to be something in it, in a way where they feel like, because based on the governors, based on the way this thing is gone, this pandemic, and the way that things, it's just a hot mess of death and stress on our healthcare system, on so many other things when it comes to the business side of things. You've got to now, and then the flip-flopping between the World Health Organization, CDC, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that, wear your mask, don't wear your mask. It could be, there's a new study out today in our favorite magazine, or yesterday in our favorite magazine. Oh, yeah, the physics of fluids, phenomenal. Saying that, after you wear a mask a couple times, you're just as better off not wearing a mask. What? But how can that be? Because, first of all, the mask that we wear, where'd you get yours? Producer Phil, where'd you get your mask?
Walmart.
Probably made in China, and I'm going to go out there and say, medically, probably not great. So a little bit better than nothing.
No, but it gets me into the store.
Get you into the store. You wear a mask to get you into places. You're not wearing a mask because you really think it's going to do something. Oh, it might cut down on stuff, but the stuff that works is the social distancing. And what they're saying is the more that you wear a mask, the least effective it gets, and at times it becomes worse because it's picking germs up and things of that nature. We could be honest about it. We don't want it. It's like the TSA, right? Go back to it's a placebo effect. You really feel more. Do you feel safer and that like you're more protected because you've got those people there protecting you? No, you don't. You don't. Or you can do this.
We don't have the vibrational frequency to host that virus.
And I taught her that.
So if you don't have that vibrational frequency right here, you're not going to get it.
Yeah.
We don't have the vibrational frequency to get COVID?
Correct. Do you know that everything in this universe vibrates and is alive? There is life with that. That's what I'm talking about.
I don't put life into COVID. I'm not going to wear a mask.
I'm not going to wear a mask either.
I never wear a mask.
Ever.
They don't, because the vibrational frequency. It's all based on the law of attraction. These ladies are, it is what it is. I'm never going to do that. And I taught her. Vibration. Well, how did you know what the vibration? I just knew, and I'm never going to get sick. And I just went, well, great. Other people are saying, wear a mask.
This message isn't for everyone. It's for all those people who refuse to wear a mask. Lying in isolation in ICU for 7 days, I thought about how wrong I was to remove my mask at the White House. Today, I think about how wrong it is to let mask wearing divide us, especially as we now know you're twice as likely to get COVID-19 if you don't wear a mask. Because if you don't do the right thing, we could all end up on the wrong side of history. Please wear a mask.
They're never going to wear a mask. They say they don't have to wear a mask because of the frequency. We wear a mask so we can get into things. We wear a mask so the people that we work with feel better and that we all have to, we go into, that's why we're wearing a mask. Yes. Do we like to think that it's going to add a bunch of protection? I've got a mask in front of me. I've got like 4 or 5 masks just laying around. When I need to go into the other room, I just grab whatever mask I can and go. I wash them on a rotating basis, but sometimes I forget. I got every one of you listening probably has 1 or 2 in your car. You've got one over here. I've got my giant Santa Claus mask now. That we want to get back to normal. We want to throw these things away and never wear them again. That's what we want. If we put a date of when we're going to do it, so you say April 1st, we will have enough in stock to make sure that everybody who hasn't already got the vaccination has the chance to get the vaccination. Doesn't mean they will. Some people, maybe they do have allergies. Other people want to sit and give it 6 months or a year because you're worried about the long-term repercussions of the vaccination. And other people aren't going to take it for a myriad of reasons. Fine. So maybe you wear a mask. If you're the person who's concerned, you would take it as long as you know it's safe, but you want to give it a little time. Maybe you wear the mask. Everybody else who already doesn't want to wear a mask for whatever reason, go ahead. But you were at least given the opportunity, and then we turn and say, life's back to normal. It's not a hard thing. When you put a date on things, people tend to respond. When you put it out there as kind of, do it when you want, you watch what happens. This is what this fight's going to be. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from all of you. People get frustrated. I get it. Trust me, I hear it every day. Will we have a mask mandate? VP-elect?
The 100 days of the mask, he's urging, like there's no punishment. They don't have to, but he is saying as a leader, please, everybody, work with me here. For the first 100 days, let's everybody just wear a mask. Of course, the scientists and the public health officials tell us there'll be really great outcomes if everyone does wear a mask when they're in public. It is about getting through the pandemic around making sure that everyone has access to the vaccine and that they take it.
Yeah. But you can lead a horse to water. You can't make them drink. So that all sounds great. Wearing it for 100 days. I mean, here's the other reality that is going to piss people off. The spread's happening anyway. It's happening in homes. What do you do with that? You're not going to be able to regulate that. You can't, as much as they would probably love to. That's why pushing this thing to have an end date where we can get back to normal gives people hope because they see the end of it. But at the same time, saying, look, we need you to do this for the 100 days. You've got to have a plan. And I don't know what kind of plan they're going to have. But if the plan is, well, we'll let people do it, not, and if they don't do it, then we'll all continue to live like this, that is not a plan. And granted, states will be in control of most of this. And I have a feeling this next year, you're going to see some states really open up and move back to a true normal way. And you're going to see other states continue to clamp down. And that's going to be interesting. It's the beauty of states' rights. This is the competition. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet, text, love hearing from every single one of you. Wounded Paw Project, an amazing organization. Been working with them for a while. Absolutely incredible. They help soldiers, first responders and their family. Started out by helping soldiers, realizing that 20 soldiers on average a day commit suicide. They have trouble coming from the horrors of war to getting back into the everyday part of life. And then when you see what's going on right now, that's tenfold than what it used to be because the lockdown has hurt them more probably than any other group. And it is a struggle. They rescue these animals, these dogs that would be euthanized, train them, and get them to our veterans, first responders, and their families. And there's so many different things you can do to help. First of all, great time for a tax deduction. So if you have an extra car, truck, RV, boat, if it flies, it floats, they'll take it. Huge tax deduction. On top of that, you can give cash, and you can go to smile.amazon.com, set your supporting group up for Wounded Paw Project. Check it out for yourself. They say it, you'll be saving a paw to save a life. Go to woundedpawproject.org, woundedpawproject.org, woundedpawproject.org. Chad Benson Show.
You stink like fear and white male privilege to me.
I do often out myself verbally as a gender. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm proud to be a gender.
Are you stupid?
What? Are you kidding me? Not a great way to use your white privilege.
Some people get it, some people don't.
You're listening to The Chad Benson Show.
That one always makes me laugh. I was thinking about Elon Musk is in trouble because he basically said the pronoun thing is stupid. I second, third, fourth, fifth the motion. Who's with me? I just don't get, like, I have never once cared what a pronoun, well, for some people it's important. Well, if you're changing who you are, so you want to go from Nancy to Steve, you have regular names. So you want to go from Nancy to Steve. Wouldn't you like to be known as Steve? Isn't that the whole point? So if you're Nancy, and everybody knew you as Nancy, but now Nancy is Steve. So there's Steve. Steve wants to be recognized as a they, them? No, Steve. It's your name. People who decide that, hey, I'm a boy, I'm a cisgendered male, or you're a cisgendered female. First of all, that's stupid. But secondly, it's just, my name's Chad. I'll just go with that. You don't have to call me they, them, he, him, E-I-E-I-O. None of that stuff. Just Chad. That'll do. No, not anymore. Now it's all about that. Everybody's so worried about, all the stuff. Should be worried about other things. Like, I don't know, jobs.
885,000 laid-off Americans filed for unemployment benefits for the first time last week, beyond the expectations of economists. They anticipate a rough few months for the labor market since vaccines aren't expected to reach the broader population until the spring. Certain benefits provided to the unemployed will expire at the end of the year. There's still no agreement on a new coronavirus relief bill in Congress.
And that's the big thing. Where are they? When are they going to get done? How long is this going to take? Is it going to happen tomorrow? Probably not. I would assume sometime over the weekend they will. Maybe they finish hammering out some of the stuff today and the potential for him to sign it tomorrow. Because here's the deadline. And this is when I talk about deadlines and how important those things are and being specific about stuff. When there is no deadline, they'll just go on and on and on. When does Congress tend to get stuff done? When there's a deadline. For them, their deadline is tomorrow. Why? They want to take their vacation. Their Christmas holiday, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa break is here. They don't want to be over there through the holidays. They need to get something done. So they'll push it through. Now, would I be surprised if it goes to the weekend and into Monday? No. But do I think Christmas Eve they're going to be there? Probably not. But you never know.
They are now hopeful that they can get this done in the coming days. And once President Trump signs off on this bill, it will likely take several more weeks for Americans to begin receiving those checks.
Yeah, take a while. Put the deadline out there, people. Put the deadline out there. Get them a deadline, and they come up with things. If you don't give them a deadline and there's no repercussions for that, they'll just flounder around because that's what happens. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Do love hearing from all of you across the board. Just sitting there, I get texts throughout the day. And I try to respond to everybody. And it's always going to happen. We're not always going to agree on stuff. And that's it's like with the election stuff. So many people out there, Trump supporters, not Trump supporters, sycophants, people who are just so into Trump. It's not even about the election, it's about the integrity election. It's not about any of those things. It's about Trump lost. And they can't fathom that. And it's so interesting when, because I'm always curious. I want to know, okay, so what happens when you see them go to court on numerous occasions and then lose? Well, they haven't had a hearing. No, they've had hearings. Him and his allies have had hearings in court. And they lose. Well, they haven't had a hearing. No, they haven't had a hearing at the Supreme Court because the Supreme Court's like, nah, we're not getting involved. Well, they should be getting involved. When states sue other states, they're supposed to take it up. That's how you get to the Supreme Court fast. Here's the problem. A majority of those things are like land issues. This is our water. No, it's our water. that kind of stuff. If you allowed this and to happen and to take place, you're also setting precedent where then California could sue Texas and say what you guys are doing with your right to life bill or whoever it is disproportionately affecting. Oh, wait, hold on. Yeah, they could. Yeah. They're not into this. You got to have proof and stuff. But I'm always curious when I try to talk to people because about, and have conversations about things like the election because they're so emotional about it. And even when you point out those things aren't real, it doesn't change their mind. Now, I'm not trying to change anybody's mind. I don't care if you believe they're real or not. I just want to say, have you thought about the fact that maybe he lost? Have you thought about the fact that maybe, just maybe, there wasn't any cheating to the degree that there was cheating? Of course there's cheating. Well, then we shouldn't certify it. No, it's not the way it works. There was cheating in the last election. I'm not talking about Russia. And the election before that. If you're going to blanket and say, well, if there's one piece of cheating, then no, we'll never have an election again. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Policing. Last year, this year, heck, for the last several years, it's a hot topic with what took place with George Floyd and many others. Black Lives Matter movement growing and the defund police movement that's out there. People are looking, how do we make policing better? My thing is, how do we make it, well, how do we bring it forward and make it technologically more advanced to help in so many ways and also give alternatives to in certain situations when it comes to the police? Joining us now is Tom Smith, CEO of RAP. And you've got the Bolo Rap, and this thing is amazing because I've seen it on more than a few occasions. And when I found I was going to interview, I thought I was kind of excited about this thing. So explain to everybody exactly what the Bolo Rap is.
Sure thing, and thank you for having me on. And you hit the nail right on the head, right? Everybody's talking about problems. We're coming up with a solution. And what this is we looked at the way policing is happening, and you want to try and stop somebody without hurting them. I've lived it. My mom had Alzheimer's. I watched her attack my dad, and who do you call? You call the police. And, they become the de facto social service, and when they show up, you want them to use, not hurt your relative or loved one and get them the help that they need. So when we looked at the Bolo Rap, we wanted to design a system that would not hurt people, yet let police do their job safely. So they go home safe and the suspect go home safe. And it's about the size of a cell phone that fits in your hand, and it's very simple to operate. There's a cartridge that snaps into the front of the device, and then once you take it off safe, and line laser comes on, and you put that on your subject. So let's say they're 10 to 25 feet away. You put the line on them, and then when you press the button, it deploys an 8-foot Kevlar tether that wraps around the individual and remotely restrains them. So kind of think Batman or Spider-Man, that we're going to deploy this cord out and wrap them up, and it doesn't rely on pain compliance. There's no chemicals or electricity that goes into the body. It simply wraps a cord that attaches to the clothing with some fish hooks and restrains them, gives the police that window of opportunity to where they can't run, kick, or hurt them, and they're trying to figure out what's going on, and they can take them into custody and get them help.
So, and again, we're looking to modernize police, and you're trying to offer solutions. The question is, like everything else, how many of these police forces are using it? How many are thinking about using it? How do you get it into the hands of police officers?
And that is the question, right? So luckily I had the opportunity. My brother and I started Taser 20 plus years ago. So I've done this. I've rolled it out to over 100 countries and done it throughout the United States to over 18,000 agencies. This company is brand new. We just started selling these last summer, and we already have over 300 agencies in 35 countries that are at some point of either testing through deployment. And as you said, now we're starting to see body cam videos or police videos showing this being used in the field. We just had it in South Carolina. We just had another one this morning in California. And those are what are allowing the officers and really it's the politicians, it's the mayors, it's the city councils that really, look at the budget on buying equipment to show this is working. And it's not that next viral video that everybody's frightened to death of, right? You talk to young officers today, what they're most concerned about is that next viral video that then gets plastered all over the world, and they are concerned about that. And so we've had a lot of these uses, very dangerous situations. A mother had to call police because her son wanted the police to shoot and kill him in the driveway in front of her. They used this device to wrap him, get him the help that he needed, and it wasn't that viral video because it allowed the officers to stop him and not hurt him. And that's the key is we got to get the politicians, we got to get the city leaders, and then law enforcement as they go through this process and roll them out to get them out on the streets. And we're over 300 agencies in the U.S. already, but we got a long way to go.
Talking to Tom Smith, CEO and co-founder, one time with Taser. You've left there now. You have Wrap technology, and you have the Bola Wrap, which is out there. Now, it's being used in some departments, and again, it's only as good as the situation that I'm sure you've had some hit and misses. I know about Fresno and a few other things like that. But how are the police officers themselves finding it when they do try to put it into use?
The feedback has really been extremely positive, and you're exactly right. There is no magic bullet; it doesn't exist. We're very upfront of that. And if you, again, even Taser, it's not 100% successful. Even firearms aren't 100% successful. So we start off with that right out of the gate. We don't want to have a bad expectation. But if you can use this early in that confrontation, so think of throwing handcuffs on somebody from a distance where you can stop this from escalating, where the person tries to run or they want to fight. Maybe they haven't made that commitment yet. Before it escalates to those higher levels of force where injuries do occur to the suspects and the officers, that's really the niche that we fit in. And the feedback from the field has been very, very positive because it's giving them another chance, right? You don't build a house with just a hammer. You have to have multiple tools, and they love this option, and it's literally the only one that's been out since Taser came 20 years ago that's made it into the field and that's making a difference. And it's the only one that they have available to them that does not use some type of pain compliance from either electricity or the chemical spray or hitting them with a baton or ultimately a firearm. That's what's so exciting about this technology. And now that we're seeing more and more body cam uses of how it's working and how it's being used, that's just building that confidence and building our number of leads we're getting from agencies calling us to help them out.
When you talk about the younger police, and I've said it all along for the last several years, officers, much like CEOs, certain situations, this is what comes with it, getting into scrapes, getting into fights, maybe even a shootout. But it's the viral video or the cancel culture that people are terrified of because we never see the whole side of things. Are younger officers more apt to be drawn to something like this and more open-minded than, say, some of the older officers that have been around a while and, quite frankly, have been through the wars and then some?
100%, and police officers, just the nature of policing, I've said many times they are not stalwarts of change. So anytime you introduce change, it's very slow. And literally, if you look at history, I don't think there's ever been a time where there has been more pressure, political pressure, community pressure to demand reform in policing or to change the way they're doing policing. And even with all of that pressure on them that's been on them for over 6 months, there's been really, at the end of the day, very little change in terms of what they're doing other than they've literally pulled back. We're seeing crime skyrocket because of that fear of being that viral video or being that person that's the poster child for something that shouldn't be done. And this tool is going to give them a chance to change that. So it really is a win for the community groups that we're talking to, for the officers that are seeing it, the command staff, and the politicians. That we're making a difference. We're giving them the chance to stop somebody without hurting them. And absolutely, a lot of those older folks, too, are taking early retirements just because of all the political pressure and things that are out there. So the younger generation certainly has seen, in the movies with Spider-Man and Batman, and this technology gets related to that quite a bit by the media. So I think it adds a little bit of, fun to it from the Hollywood side that it's I used to say the Taser was a wired version of the Star Trek phaser, and I would say this is your handheld version of the Spider-Man or Batman net.
Talking to Tom Smith, CEO of, Wrap Technology. We're talking about the Bola Wrap. I want to talk about the political side of it because when you go and you give demonstrations now with the defund the police movement, now you've got all of these big cities across the country who, it's about bringing in, parts and communities and certain communities into all of these things. What is that like when you're presenting it? Are they open-minded enough saying, okay, this is an alternative because we do need policing, despite what some people think? How do you walk that fine line with the community and also the politics of it?
Yeah, and the majority, and the vast majority of people are extremely receptive. I mean, we've had many mayors even get wrapped so they can experience them themselves, and city council members. It's usually the fringe. It's the extremes that it doesn't matter what you say. They're just looking to put their message out there, whether it's realistic or not. But in the vast majority of cases, and I've talked to senators, I've talked to congressmen, I've talked to city councils, governors, you name it, even on the community groups. We worked with a lot of the community church leaders in different communities, and they're all extremely receptive. They want to learn about it. They want to see it for themselves. We've even had it presented to the president. So at numerous levels, people want to see it and learn about it, and they understand, while there may be a cry about getting rid of police, they deal with those issues that a lot of people just don't want to deal with. It's one of the most difficult jobs out there, and this is helping change that. And I certainly understand they've got to have the relationships with the community. And we're now seeing more media coverage of the benefits of this technology where it's saving a life, like the coverage we just had in South Carolina. So that helps build that trust back up between the community and law enforcement that, hey, they are trying to do things differently. They are trying to bring in things and tools like this that aren't going to hurt people to do their jobs more safely. So it's a win for everybody, even in that role, when we get those kind of coverages instead of just all the negativity that's been out there.
CEO Tom Smith of Wrap Technologies. Last question. You were co-founder of Taser. How many times have you been tasered?
About a half a dozen over 20 years, so not very many, and I've done a half a dozen in an hour with this. It's just not even comparable.
There you go. I love having you on, brother. I appreciate you coming on, talking, being open about this. It's interesting. We need to move policing into a better way. We want to add more weapons, but weapons that are going to keep people safe and keep cops from being, on the front page and causing controversy that, quite frankly, they don't need. And I appreciate you coming on today, man.
Well, thank you for having me. Technology is advancing at an incredible rate, and you look at a lot of those tools, the batons from the caveman days, chemical spray is really throwing a food irritant in somebody's eye, and, there's not been a lot of advancement. And so we're bringing technology to solve these very, very difficult problems and make a difference, and love having you talk about this and make people aware of it, and really appreciate being on the show.
Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it. I would probably be wrapped like a burrito. Chad Benson Show.
Warning, no snowflake zone. Uninformed opinions are in danger of melting. The Chad Benson Show.
Just in time for Wonder Woman 1984 to drop.
Think about finally having everything you always wanted.
HBO Max just struck a deal to stream on Roku devices. Roku is the most popular streaming platform in the U.S. with access to over 100 million users. And until now, HBO Max and Roku couldn't agree on terms. That meant since its launch in May, HBO Max subscribers tied into the Roku ecosystem had to figure out a workaround to stream, something that would hurt HBO Max as it plans to debut all Warner Brothers movies next year. HBO Max is available on Roku Thursday.
Yeah, smart thing to do. Very smart thing to do. It's where it's at. And I think the entertainment industry realizes it's a shifting thing. It's an industry. It's a business, like media. All media. When people say the news industry, it's not the news, it's the media. Media and entertainment. It's a business. Period, case closed, end of story. It is nothing more than that. Well, they're here to inform us, and they should be fair. No, they're here to make money. That's what they're here for. This journalism thing is long gone. If you want local journalism, if you want good journalism that is pretty much as unbiased as you're going to get, then it's local. On the national stage, they're there to do what? Serve a purpose for themselves anymore, which is a business. And the same thing goes for what's happening in the movie theaters, are going to be really upset because a lot of these companies, I think this is going to change. They've been looking for years to figure out how to deliver an at-home experience with first-run movies. And now they've had the opportunity to do that. And they're finding out. People would have still went and saw, if you would have released movies in the theater and at home. And I think this is what a lot of people looked at. You look at Tenet and what it's done. While it wasn't a massive hit, you got to think that a good portion of our country was shut down. And it was a big hit in total compared to all the other films that were released this year. Because they were released and then they went bye-bye because they were only in 8 theaters. But box office has done $361 million. And people got it at home as well as see it. So, yeah, I think this is going to be awesome. But it's always about a business. It's about a dollar. If the dollar's right, people will make it happen. No matter what it is. I'm always amazed. It's like, because Spielberg talked about this several years ago, that eventually it'll be the same day release at home. But it never takes away from the experience. I love the experience of the movie. I will not stop going to the films and seeing them. But there are some movies that if you release 2 or 3 movies at once, and I may want to see them all, where I may say, you know what, I'm willing to spend, time to go here and do this. The other one, while I want to see it, I'll wait for it to come out. If you release it the same day, I might see it in the next couple of days. But I'm never not going to stop going to the movies. But the competition for Netflix and all these other streaming services here, and it's called YouTube. So everybody understands that every day there's a competition. I'm in a competition to get people to listen, to view, to do all the things you do. It is always a competition. This is what it's about. Never have we had more opportunities to have platforms, and at the same time, it is a very crowded space. It is. And when you see people, we're trying to do things differently here because we're trying to deliver stuff to you that's enjoyable and fun, that you can consume in a different way. As far as it's not just this crazy extremes, because the extremes tend to get the views, but there's a finite time that lasts. And I can't lie to you guys. And I want to sit here and blow smoke up your ass all the time and tell you how amazing this is or that is or how bad one side is or the other. Boring. It's nuts. It is. We give you the truth as best that we possibly can because sometimes data and facts aren't complete. Sometimes people screw with them. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. At Santa last week, 2 weeks ago, wouldn't give the kid the Nerf gun. I said, when do they come for Ralphie and A Christmas Story? When do they come for that? When is that going to be? Because he's getting a gun. But it's a different time. But still, interesting story, though, about this. One of the famous scenes in said movie, The Christmas Story.
Well, we figure he's Black Bart, Ralph.
Well, just him, a trusty old Red Ryder carbine action 200-shot range model air rifle.
Oh, no! Seize it, boys! Okay, Ralphie, you win this time, but we'll be back!
But if you do come back, you'll be pushing up daisies!
So, in that, he's dressed like a cowboy, Black Bart, and he's spitting out stuff. He said, this was hilarious. He says, so he's a kid, right? He's like 12 years old. And the prop guy comes up to him because the whole thing is he spits out like bing, like the big thing of tobacco. And because the prop guy comes up and normally you'd think, well, you just give the kid black liquor. It should have looked the same. But no, he comes up and he's got chewing tobacco. It says Red Man on it. He goes, and I didn't know who was responsible for this. I thought it was supposed to be something else. And he goes, here, take this and put this in your mouth. Just don't swallow it. He goes, so I jam it in there and get ready and I spit it. He goes, about 15 minutes into filming, he goes, the world starts tilting. I goes, I start sweating. He goes, then I start throwing up everywhere. And the director's like, cut. He goes, what the hell's going on? He goes, I gave him Red Man. He goes, what do you mean you gave him Red Man? He's 12. They said he had to lay down for about an hour to get everything sorted out. That is funny. Prop. Hey, it was the 80s. That's how we're doing it, kids. Ding. I just gave him Red Man. Gave him a real smoke. I thought he'd be fine. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. Tweet, text. Love hearing from every single one of you. Solid fun day. That's what we do here, kids. We're solid and fun. You guys have a blessed rest of your day. Don't fight with each other. Don't hate on each other. Let's do it again tomorrow. Shall we? I think we shall. Is that? It is. Ha! I see Friday. Night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.